recording. Okay, the recording has started. I don't know why we had that error. I'm just gonna, but it seems to be all right. Okay, so what we have on this tab is we have the what is DIO and DFC. This is days inventory outstanding, and this is days of forward coverage. So these two charts are not actually the same metric. And I know it's kind of, it can be confusing when it's not on, both sides. Masi, I thought we changed this to say DIO and DFC? DIO, DFC? Do you remember that?
We did.
Yeah, not sure what happened there. But anyway, so the one on the left is the DIO and the one on the right is the DFC. And COGS stands for cost of goods sold. So what the cost of goods sold is it's we keep track in our finances of when we sold this product, this inventory, when we sold it, how much did we sell it for? So in other words, what value did we get back for this product? So the days inventory outstanding, what that means is if I have 100 or 1,000 cases, and I know that each case is $100. Well, that's $100,000 in revenue that I'm sitting on, that is sitting in my warehouse. Because if we could sell these 1,000 cases, we'd get 100,000 back. So what days means is based on is how many days did it take us to get that 100,000 back. So for inventory, what we do is we're looking at, so here, what we could see is our beginning inventory dollars was 455 million is the value of the product sitting there. And it took us 3 months to sell 1.2, is that a billion? Yep, billion. Okay, so I'm going to have to bring up the documentation even to show what it does, but so the DIO, the way that that's calculated is we take the beginning inventory dollars of the week. So this is the total value of inventory as of Monday morning, and then we're going to find out how many days it takes to turn that inventory into revenue. So we look at the last 3 months, because we want the most recent value. We don't want to take, we really want an annualized. We want the last year, the full year. But we don't want to use the value of the full year because maybe the price went up. Maybe we're getting more for it now than we did a year ago. So we take the last 3 months, and it's actually, for the current month, we use the last 3 months because we don't get cost of goods sold until the month closes. And so for all of our closed months, we use that month ending plus 2 months beforehand. But for the current month, we use the last 3 months. We want to make sure we get the three most recent COGS that we have. You are not going to need to do all this logic, though, because our VDM already did that for you and is just sitting here in what's called previous 3-month cost of goods sold. So you're going to take this previous 3 months value that is in the VDM, you're going to multiply it by 4 to annualize it. So now we have a 12-month estimated cost, and then that gets divided. So we take this, the Monday morning divided by the annualized cost times 360, and that tells them how many days does it take to turn this inventory into revenue. Okay, and we only do this if the COGS numbers are available, if they're greater than 1. So you will have to look at Tableau for some of the calculations that are checking to make sure that COGS was available. Because if COGS is not available, if the COGS is not at least $1, then days inventory outstanding we just leave as a 0. The DIO is just 0. Otherwise, it's going to be that calculation. Okay, so that's the DIO part. And that's done for all the weeks that are before this current week. So here, oops, excuse me, it's for, I guess, this current week backwards. So that's right, this current Monday. So current week Monday, this Monday we have our Monday morning snapshot. So that's why we're using the actuals. The forecasted inventory starts the following Monday. So this is what we're projecting forecast to be. Now, with projection, they're not looking at how many days does it turn into revenue. They're not interested in that. What they're interested in is how many days of coverage do I have. So so they're really two different metrics, but they like them in the same table, which I know is taboo. It's not best practice for reporting, but that this is something that the business wanted, so this is what we do. So the days forecast, the way that one works is we might forecast that, okay, we're going to sell 500, we have a demand for 500 cases. So this demand could be the customer is asking us to ship them the 500 cases, or it might be dependent demand, meaning I'm actually going to consume this product into making another product. So for example, I might have three different tissue SKUs, but I'm going to bundle them together in one display unit that sits in the grocery store, and it's going to have all three of these products in it. That display unit is its own SKU. It has its own SKU. So the dependency is, in order to make this display unit, first I have to make these three tissue boxes. So the dependent demand says I'm going to have to make some of these tissue boxes so that I can put them into a display unit later. But I'm going to do that all at my own production site. It's not shipping anywhere. It's just going to happen in my own production site. Okay, so that's the customer and the dependent demand. The distribution demand is when we create a product at one plant and we send it to another. So that's replenishment. Distribution and replenishment mean the same thing here, where it's something that we need to, because that other plant does not manufacture this product, we're going to manufacture this product and ship it to that other plant so that they can either, put it into, so that they can ship it on to their customers or put it in their own dependent demand, that kind of thing. Okay? So that's the three types of demand that we have. So what we're looking at with DIO is to say, okay, I have 500 cases of demand of these three types. Do I have enough inventory to cover it? And this is how many days do I have? So because I'm looking at such a high view, we have some overstock. So we cap it at 999. And this, by the way, is a formula that you have to do in your front end. So you're going to be taking this logic from Tableau. Actually, I take that back. You're sort of doing it from Tableau, but there is a separate DFC VDM that does the calculation for you. You have to pass it properly. And I'm going to let Lalitha talk about that later, but for right now, let me just come in here and see if I can find a product. Looking for, there you go, it's a popular one. Okay. So if I just look at one product, okay, so you could see that in this case, our demand is 708,601 GSUs, standard units. And then our beginning inventory has 848,658 units. So we have 8 days of inventory. That's how much coverage we have. We can cover 8 days of demand. So that's what this number means. Okay, and as you can see, it's kind of consistent with how many days does it take for us to get value back, to get paid back for this. It's kind of, so it's similar, but not quite the same. Okay. And then I'm going to do this because we do this at a ship plant level. So I'm going to go ahead and actually I am going to do Fullerton. They manufacture this. Okay. Uh-oh, what happened to our projection? Masi, I think, well, I don't know, Masi, if we have an issue there too. Let me check. This is ship plant group, which should be filtering these. So you could see that Masi, 2019 should have forecasted. These numbers should be showing up here. I don't know why when we filter on it, it goes away. So that's something else to check. Okay.
So you're filtering on a ship plant?
Ship plant group. Ship plant group 2019. Ship plant does not apply to this, but ship plant group should apply to this. So I think the ship plant group filter should be applying to these visuals. And for some reason, they're not showing up in these.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I know it. This could be the problem that we had, that we just haven't moved the data changes yet from. This might be in the VDM if ship plant group. That's what it is. Ship plant group is not in the VDM, Masi. This is the problem that we're waiting for, that we can't finalize these until ship plant group is added to the DFC and the filter table. So that's why it's not working in here. So don't worry about it. In fact, what I think.
They're in quality, Susan. I don't think we've moved it to production yet.
Yep. So.
And Susan, in regards to the, I don't want to confuse you, but we can talk about the other replenishment map because it takes a huge performance hit when I apply that action filter. I don't know if we discussed it before and I removed it for the replenishment map.
That's okay. Don't even worry about it, Masi, because their technology may not take the performance hit. So that you're probably right that that's why it doesn't do it. But the purpose of this meeting really is for them to know what to build. So I think I want them to build that cross one anyway. So you can just take notes of the things and we can talk later about what this should do.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. So, so the way that DFC is calculated is, and I have this I just want to show this to you. This is the Excel file that I saved to the temporary temp directory. So the one that I created yesterday. So I saved this out there so you can copy it over from there. But these are the rules that are represented by it. So again, actually you're not doing this calculation. Lalitha's DFC VDM is doing it, but just to show you what we're doing is we have the beginning inventory going across to 18 weeks. We go all the way to week 18, and then we copy the demand all the way across, and then it's sort of a running inventory. If we take that out, if we subtract the demand from the beginning inventory, then we're left with this amount, and then we just divide by 7. We figure out how many days is that, and in this example, it's and then we keep doing the same thing. We do it. We look to see, did this cover 7 days? And if it did not, then we just say, okay, this is 3 days. But in this case, you could see that this does cover 7 days. So we then look at the following week and see how many more days are left. Well, it's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There are 4 days left. So it becomes 11 DFC. But this has the logic behind it, which is fairly complicated. But Lalitha has already created the VDM and the tables that you need to pull this. So you're just going to be pulling her VDM to show the DFC. Okay, and the DFC you're showing is the customer dependent and distribution demand. The network tab is similar. It also has DIO DFC, but the difference is that it's not location based. So in her VDM, you're also going to see a DFC that is only based on cust, dep, and demand. Does not include the distribution. You can ignore that one for your pilot because you're just going to be using the DIO DFC location. So that's what you're going to be using in here. Okay, so Lalitha, I'm not sure how the VDM works. Are they two separate VDMs that they would be calling in their solution, or if the first VDM also calls the second one?
It is just one DFC VDM, Susan. So there are all the key figures that are needed in just one VDM.
But does the inventory so the inventory VDM is separate from this VDM?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So but there's only one VDM in here, so the global Tableau all VDM calls DFC also, right?
Correct. Yeah, right now it's only one VDM with the table name being different. So for inventory, it's INV, and for DFC, it's DFC.
Exactly.
So it's all union together. So depending on what table value you call, it goes and retrieves data from that respective table.
Okay. So our Bala, when you create the VDM for this tab, you'll want to make sure that you have the DFC one and the inventory one both feeding into that, to make sure that it's available to them. But from a front end perspective, you're still working on the front end. You're still calling just one VDM, and it'll have all of this in it. One of the tricky things about this DFC calculation, most of our data is sitting in summary tables, and all we do is add it up. We just summarize it. But for DFC, we have to do our filters first. So here I filtered on order SKU, or maybe I might filter on material segmentation to get all of the ASKUs. So whatever it is that I filter on, that has to feed into DFC first, and then the calculation runs. So this is one that it's always a fresh calculation. You're not summarizing. So that's the one thing that's different about this DFC VDM. You can't add it up, can't summarize it. You have to send and get a fresh view.
So if they can do two VDMs in that chart, then they can call inventory VDM separately and DFC VDM separately, right? So is that not a possibility?
It could be.
Because they were saying that each chart, if you have, whatever is needed, then it makes it more faster. So that's why I was asking. So if they can if they can just call the inventory VDM for snapshot, and for the projection part, call the DFC VDM, then if it works, then it's good.
My only concern with that is the length of time it takes to do DFC. They may choose to use one VDM for all of these. I don't know yet. That's something they'll have to decide. But the VDM design will happen later, Lalitha. I just want them to understand what's happening in here.
Okay, sure, Susan.
Yeah, but you're right. I shouldn't have said anything about the VDM. I think this is one tab that for your VDM designs, you'll probably want to take a good look at at what is done in here. Because so we have the DFC calculation, and then we also have something else in here that is not that does not use DFC. It uses values from inventory. And what that has is your minimum health, which is what we call safety stock. So in this case, this has a number 28630. That's a field that is on our inventory data source, and then you have the beginning inventory for the week, and then you have your maximum health, and that maximum health has been calculated for you again in the VDM. That is a total of the demand that's coming up. It's your safety stock, so it's your minimum health plus the demand that we see coming up. And for A SKUs, that's 7 days. For B SKUs, it's 14. For everything else, it's 28 days. So there's a staggered calculation, but that's already been done for you in HANA. You don't need to worry about those rules. What you're doing is you're going to check and see, is the beginning inventory in between the min and the max? And in this case, it is. 34,000 is more than 28,000 and less than 49,000. So we give it a green. This is our goal. It's between this min and max health. That's what we want it to be. In this one, you could see that we have more inventory. It's higher than the maximum health. So we give it that location health status says greater than max health 51%. It's more than 51% higher. This one is between 26 and 50% higher. This one in here is 11 to 25% lower than the minimum health. So these are all calculations that you will be doing to come up with that, because it's based on whatever is summarized in the chart. So right now we're looking at plant group. If I were to change this to order SKU, then the colors, the colors are going to change based on the order SKU min health and beginning inventory and max health. See that it changes to those numbers. And then, the reason this didn't quite work is because it matches because I'd already filtered to the order SKU. But anyway, so then over here in this upper chart, and by the way, that it's the exact same calculation on projection. So same fields, it's just in those weeks. And then up here what we do is we say, okay, of all of the orders, of all of the plants that produce this material, and you can see here that there are quite a few plants that produce this material. So of all of those, how many of them were greater than max health 51%, and what percent of the total for that week had this health status? So this chart in the upper right is a count and a percentage of the health status. And we put the max up at the top going down to the green, and then the ones that are under on the bottom. And this is the legend of the breakdown. I'm going to go back to plant group again. Yeah, so you see that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. I can't do that. I'm going to take out the order SKU, so we're looking at all products again. So as you can see, we're now summarizing. And the location health status changes based on how we summarized it. That's why we can't calculate that at the VDM. And you have all these. So here you have 7,728 plants, or above 21, 5,789 plant product combinations. And so that's why, you could see whatever they filter on, it's going to change this breakdown. Any questions on this so far?
No questions.
Okay. So then aside from these charts, what we then have at the bottom is we have a heat map. So if I click, for example, on August 5th, and these two only show up if you click on a specific this one only shows up. If you click on August 5th, the one in the lower left shows up. So here we have all of the plants that are in this table, but they're sized. And Masi, I don't remember what they're sized by. I don't know if you have the workbook open, but Yanis can also look and see.
Let me check real quick. I don't remember off the top of my head either.
Let's see, 1865, 186. I think it might be based on inventory. My guess would be inventory quantity is what it's sized by, but you could check Tableau as well to see what it's sized by for inventory quantity. And then, of course, the total here, I meant Eunice could check it too, but you could tell them. This gives you the type it is. So then if they click, like this one is showing greater than as 11. So if I click on this plant, then on the right, they see the order SKUs in a heat map for that plant. So they can zero in on, which ones were a problem, which ones are max. This is probably the one driving that because it's so large in its quantities. So as you build this, do keep in mind also the tooltips. And Masi, I think this is an issue too in the lower right. That week should be saying August 5th because the plant heat map on the left was filtered to August 5th. Then the lower right items should be August 5th also. I'm not sure why that comes up as a star.
We'll check that.
Yeah. What I'm using in my demo here is a work in progress for North America. So. Okay, so we have the August 5th. All right. So that's everything to show with this. Now, one thing about this chart is this is where if they filter on ship plant, this chart we're still working through what we want, how we want Tableau to behave. We met with the global leaders yesterday to discuss this. We don't expect an answer for another week, but basically, the options are if you filter on ship plant, this should not filter. It just stays the way it is, but it does not filter to the ship plant. The other option is just to make the whole thing go blank, but I think they're leaning toward if they filter on ship plant, this one stays at this level. So for example, here I have ship plant group, right? And now if I go to inventory quantity, and I filter on 2007, so now my inventory is only looking at 2007, and that's at the plant level. When I come back here to DIO DFC, it should not filter this tab. So DIO DFC would ignore the plant group. Right now it is, and this is one of the problems we're trying to fix because this is misleading. Having it go to the ship plant group is misleading. So this is why we want to, so on this one, ship plant is not going to filter this. But I don't think that that's a showstopper right now. For your building, I would say, just know that, we will, not all filters affect everything. And as long as you demonstrate that should be fine. Okay, any other questions on DIO DFC?
I just wanted to add to answer your question for that lower plant. It's ordered, the sizes are ordered by the beginning inventory quantity. So
okay,
it's showing
good.
all the ship plant groups.
Good. So this is in quantity. Okay. Good. All right. We also have in here, and I'm just going to back this out. Hopefully your tool will do a little better job with this action filtering. What I've found with the action filtering is we found that it sometimes gives you an error in Tableau if you have filtered on other things and then do that. So let me see. They also have the ability in health status to find things. So for example, they may be looking for the low-hanging fruit, like maybe they want to look at where the minimum health status is really bad, like it's, like we're missing. I could not make these sort in the same order as up here. If you can make these sort with max health 51 first, and then this, and then that, and then that, and then, in this order, if you can actually flipping this around, no, not even that. The order should be that between should be in the middle, and then the 0 to 10s on either side, with the max going up and the mins going down, with the plus 51% at the very top and the very bottom. That's what this order should be. So here, for example, we're looking at where we are under, where we have too little inventory, like way too little inventory, 51%. We have a lot of demand. And what we're seeing here is, and then we'll go to, they would go here to order SKU and plant group, or material and plant group. You can do either one. So this is how they find where do we have too little. Here we have too little. Sorry, I went the wrong way. We have way too much stock. So in this one, we have way too little stock. So beginning inventory is 592. The safety stock is 3,000. So in other words, this plant isn't safe to cover demand unless they have at least 3,000 sitting there. So they have one of two problems. Number one, they have not produced enough product, so they better start producing. Or number two, their safety stock is too high. Maybe this product is getting old and they just don't need this much anymore. In that case, let's stop. Let's bring down the safety stock so that we don't keep trying to hit the safety stock, that it's a clear communication to all the groups. So that's what this less than minimum does. And then, of course, the greater 51%. So it's a way for them to focus in on what they're going to address in this moment. And this filter only applies to this bottom chart. And of course to these two down here when they click on it. I believe it should apply to those two. But it does not apply up here. See, it only applies down here and to the bottom charts. And here's the example where you can see that we have 10,000 cases, but we don't have demand for it because our demand plus our safety stock is only 6,000 cases. So we're stocking too much. So that's another situation where now the planners get into forecasting and maybe they won't forecast such a, because we've been consistently high. So maybe we want to start addressing that going to the future, bringing down the forecast and maybe not forecasting so much, or, not producing so much since we already have the product. These charts involve the communication between planners, between three groups. You have your demand. These are the people. There's customer demand. We need this much. We have this many orders in the future, and then so they say we need 1,000 cases. So the planners will say, okay, folks, we have 1,000 cases of demand in here. Let's look at our inventory. Okay, let's say we only have 100 in inventory. Well, then we need to produce 900. So I'm going to go to the production team and say, we need you to produce 900. So they produce it, and then they store it in the inventory. So the planners are doing that communication between what is the demand, what do we have, what do we need to make, and this tab is one of the most important things for them to balance out these things, to make sure we get that this green bar grows bigger and bigger. That's the value of this tab and this tool, is that this green bar gets wider, that we only keep the inventory that we need, and we don't overstock and we don't understock, which leads to customer cuts. Okay. And overstocks are a problem because of capital, that are, we don't want to invest money, because overstocks, that product, we've invested money to make the product. If it takes forever to sell it, then we don't get our money back for a very long time. That leaves us in, it's like being in debt almost. So you have to pay that off. Okay, and then of course we still have that same need to be able to extract and download data. Any questions on this tab?
From Techam Chennai office, no. Jonas, do you have anything?
No, I don't.
Okay. I hope it'll be easier. I hope you guys will have an easier time with your technology than we had with ours. This one has been a real bear for us. But I think because you have the ability to call the DFC separately, it may work out much better for you. Because to be honest, I'm going to tell you a requirement that the business had that we could not serve. And that is that they actually want this DIO, because DFC is only available at the ship group level. We force the entire tab to be only at the ship group level. But DIO is something they want to see at a ship plant level. And because we were forced to go to plant group, they can't ever see it at plant. So if you're able to use two different VDMs, where you're calling the inventory VDM separate from the DFC VDM, then you may have capabilities. And this is one question I have for you is, do you have the capability of saying, if, let's say we had the ship plant filter down under here, if they filter to a plant, could we say, I'm going to still show the DIO and this table with the colors in it, but I'm going to hide the DFC. This part will be empty, because DFC can only be calculated at a ship plant group level. Do you have that ability?
We need to check, Susan, because this calls for all the functional change, right? Even the way currently it is getting executed. So we will note down this point and we will keep it in the backlog. So if time permits, definitely we will look into this.
Well, it might actually make it easier for you to do even. But the reason that I mention it is because this is selling the replatforming. Giving them this ability will sell the replatforming. To be able to say, we're gonna filter ship plant, when you filter ship plant on here. I agree that it's not the first thing you do, but just keep it in mind in your design, and then maybe when everything is done, maybe there'll be a capability to put it in there. But if there's time left, but at least put it down as a selling point if it's possible. Okay. All right. Yeah. I'm sorry that the replatforming is coming at the same time as this big dilemma over ship plant group and ship plant, and the dilemma, and we're jumping through hoops, redesigning our VDMs and giving them less than what they want, simply because Tableau can't handle it, and in the way that they want. And but anyway, we'll coordinate as best we can without slowing you down. Okay, well, since that's DIO DFC and we've finished the hour, if you don't have any other questions, can we go ahead and do the customer shipment map, and then maybe tomorrow's meeting can be about the VDMs or something? I don't know, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, see, we have few questions on this. So one is like, from the document or SOW print screen, we found like there is one more filter in one more filter as part of the DIO DCO chart. So there is no name, but it is saying DIO/DFC. It's a radio button, and then quantity, and then US dollar. So 3 radio buttons filter are there. So that particular thing was not there in the actual dashboard. So it's something new, or?
We removed that. Are you seeing it in here? Okay. You're seeing it in this documentation?
I just saw it. You just
this
passed
one.
it.
Yeah, I did. I thank you for letting me know that I need to update this picture.
Okay. Okay, yep. It's removed.
Yes, it's been removed. I need to update that picture.
Yeah, and so second point, Susan, since we are talking more on the performance thing, so when we create VDM, like we need to ensure the queries, whatever we are running on those VDM, has to be respond in less than 2 seconds. So that way only we can improve overall end-to-end performance. So I believe like we are considering this point as well, right? While we decide how many VDM. Yeah. Okay.
Right, and you can have as many VDMs as you want, just whatever you think will perform best.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks.
Yep. Any other questions?
I'm thinking, we can create VDMs for you, but with the existing VDMs, like say for DFC, if it's just one VDM, right? If you can call it multiple times in multiple charts. So that way, you don't have to combine it with inventory, which will make it much more faster. But you can call it multiple times with a number of, with what fields you want, so that it will be faster too. So just creating them, it's like you're just creating queries and just having those fields. I don't think that will make it any better, but we can still try it out. But we have separate VDMs for every like customer shipments, we have a separate VDM. STO shipments, we have a separate VDM. So you can use the same VDM, but with what fields you want, and query it for whatever chart you want.
That's right. That's what Bala's doing, and Bala's working with them to copy those. You're saying don't create separate.
Don't, because if you create each VDM for each chart, we can try it out, but I think first we should use the original, not the global Tableau all VDM, but our global VDM, or we can create just one for North America and then use it. So that way it will be faster, just having STO shipments, but just creating one for each field or something, I don't think that, it's going to be really a maintenance hassle of that.
Okay, and we don't want to do it just for North America. We want this to be a global solution, so we want to use the global ones. But let me.
Susan, in the kit, can we use the A4O VDM?
Yeah, that's what Lalitha is suggesting. Yeah, that's what Lalitha is suggesting. So basically, what they're saying is underneath KCC here, we have KC PME. So, for example, we have inventory. So this inventory one already has the 4 regions in it, and it has all of the fields that are used for inventory. So I think what they're suggesting is to start with these and see how your performance is, because if your query is against these, that would prevent us from having to, originally we thought we'd be creating one of these like 4 times, one for each visual on the inventory tab, and then remove the ones that you don't need and keep the ones you do. But the idea is that HANA's fast enough that if you just send the query for what you need into here, okay, if you just send the query to this, you'll only get what you need anyway.
Yeah. So the only thing what you have to do is, using this VDM, you have to give source system is equal to North America, so that it goes and retrieves only North America data. So that's one part that you have to consider here.
You could do more than one, right? You could do North America and EMEA, for example. Is that right, Lalitha?
Yeah, you can do more than one too.
Yep.
Yeah, but
Yep.
what you want, you just give the source system whichever region you want.
Right. So Bala, maybe you want to tell them which of these A40 ones to use for these visuals. And you can and okay.
This is for SEO shipment and DFC, right?
It's going to be STO shipments. Yep. So that's the one for replenishment map. The only problem, but the problem, Bala, is that this one has a filter on path order. So you're going to need to copy this anyway because Tableau needs the path order ID 1 and 2, and this A40 only has the path order 1 in it. So you will have to copy that. You'll need to make a copy of this one anyway.
Can you show me like where we have data on path order?
Yeah, at STO shipments in A40, remember for STO shipments, all the rows are duplicated. So you see here, you have this filter, path order equals 1. And for Tableau, they need to see them both.
So
Okay,
I think
for this one, you need to copy.
While you were discussing yesterday, I thought you said maybe it's specifically for Tableau that path order 1 and 2 were created, right? So you were saying that maybe their technology could take care of it, is what I understood yesterday. I mean, we can create another VDM, but I thought discussing with them yesterday, right? I don't know, but I'm just asking because I thought you were saying that if we did that for Tableau, but if yours can take care of it, then yeah, we don't need it, right?
I guess that's a question for them. Yeah. So why don't, that's a good point. So you guys could start with this one. And if you find that you need the path order 2, then we can make a copy of it and add in the 2 or, because I don't think they can do the logic to create the second row themselves. That'd take too long. Does that make sense for Giannis? Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So then you can go ahead. So that's the only watch out. But otherwise, go ahead and start with this VDM. And then for what we just looked at, it's this KC inventory. And then also DFC. Which DFC is it? Is it the global DFC? DFCG?
Yeah, _G.
Yep, DFCG. So these are the 2 VDMs that feed the one we just looked at. And then for the one we're going to talk about next, it's this one, the customer shipments one. So those VDMs already exist, and that's a good idea to just go ahead and start with them. See how it performs. And if you decide you truly want, one of the reasons, Aletha, that they wanted separate VDMs was because they're going to aggregate. I think they were planning on not having to do the aggregation on the fly, but having the VDM do it, or maybe the VDM does it already. Anyway, never mind. I'll just leave it to you guys.
So if you guys really want to try it out, right? So maybe we can take one part. So we will not create VDMs for everything. Maybe once we'll check with the STO shipments VDM, and one we can check for a specific chart what fields you want, and then we can create a global VDM with only what fields you want, and we can try out both versions to see what performs better. So if you think that the one with less fields really performs better, then we can create the other ones rather than just creating everything at once without knowing if it's really going to perform better than the global.
Yeah, that's correct. That's what we also requested. See, moment we start with the VDM, so you said you have the queries, right? What is needed for the dashboard? Let's execute the query on the VDM and see the performance.
Yes.
Currently we don't have any. Yeah, currently we do not have any queries with us. So you are going to help us with the query, right, Lalita? So once you have the query, you can apply with the queries whatever needed for the dashboard, and you can see if it is performed well, then we are good. So as long as it's one VDM or multiple, we don't have any issues. The query, if it is able to respond in less than 2 seconds, we are good.
Yeah, because I think Tableau, it's generated queries, right? It's not custom SQL queries or something. It's all generated queries, and I think it creates complex queries in the backend. When it tries to retrieve data. So if yours do not need those complex queries, then we are good too.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we will do, we will just send out an Excel sheet with the dashboard and then chart inside that, and then you can help with what is the VDM name and what is the query we need to use for that. Yep. So that we can take that for our development as base, and then we will continue. So single VDM or multiple, we are fine as long as the query is able to respond in less than 2 seconds.
Right, and Bala is the one who will help you with that. Our Bala.
Yeah, we'll send the template. Yeah, sure.
Yep. Okay, and then also there's this one, global filters is the other one.
And queries as such, queries as such, I think we have to first figure out the Tableau queries, and yeah, we might need help from Marcy to see what queries are generated, and then we can tune it. But we need first queries because we don't know what calculations happen there in Tableau. From HANA, on the HANA side. So we might need those queries first, and then we can fine tune them and give it to you guys so that you guys can work on it.
Yeah, thanks, Lalitha. So we will just send out the template so that it will be easy to identify how many queries are needed. That will help us to track to the closer what all the things needed. Yes. We will send the template shortly.
And there's one more point here is, Susan, we don't have any of our global VDMs do not have the filters attached to it, right? The filter VDMs attached to it, because we don't use it that way in A4O, correct? But if they want to, because they have filters, and if they want filters also to be a part of it, then we might need to add it. So that is also one thing that we might need to consider.
Okay.
Based on how we are going to query, we need to know that. We need to have a discussion on that. And then if you need the filters VDM added to it, then we have to union the filters VDM too for you guys.
Well, we'll let them drive what they need. Yep, that sounds good. So whatever you guys determine that you need, we'll need to look at our VDMs to make sure that that's all working, that we get you what you want. Okay. Any other questions on the open right now? Okay. So can we go ahead and use the next hour to do customer shipment map?
Susan, maybe team has not read the document for the customer shipment. So let the team read before you explain. So
you want to end the meeting now and meet tomorrow again?
Yeah, we'll do that tomorrow.
Okay.
Susan, is it okay if we move the meeting by an hour later, or like at least 30 minutes later?
Ask the team, Tech Mahindra. Is that okay?
Are you guys okay with that?
Tomorrow moving it by 30 minutes later. Yeah. 7 should be fine.
No issues.
No issues. Let's move to 7.
Well, that's why I'm thinking if we could just go over it now, then you can read the document, and then oh well, that's okay. Alrighty.
Yeah, thank you so much for understanding.
So was that moving it an hour or a half an hour? What did you decide?
We are moving half an hour tomorrow.
1/2 hour. Okay.
Late, yeah.
Okay. Alrighty, then we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye. Bye.